Alrighty, yo, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. DDG94 here, back with another reaction video. Today, we finna react to top 10 unforgettable Halloween episodes from the 90s. Off rip, y'all talk about the Martin episode. If the Martin episode ain't on here, I don't want to talk about it. They got Family Matters in here. Will they have Martin on here? Will they have Fresh Prince on it? Well, Fresh Prince never really had good Halloween episodes. Matter of fact, I think they only got one Halloween episode. No, they got two. They got two Halloween episodes, and they both were not good. Martin Halloween episodes, however, are actually good. The one with the one where they bought the house, that was funny, and the one where and obviously the one from season 1. Yeah. Oh, Mayor Ackerman, wherever you are. Yo. Probably yeah. But anyways, though, without further ado, man, let's get right into this, man.
You get some tomato soup, and you pork and beans.
Halloween is a fun time of year for people of all ages. And when it comes to TV holiday specials, Halloween is usually the best. We get to see some of our favorite characters dressed in funny costumes and put in unique situations. Whether they were spooky or hilarious, these episodes managed to stay in our memories after all these years. Welcome to the review. Today we're taking a look back at the 10 most memorable 90s Halloween episodes. Leave us a comment below if you remember watching any of these. Erie, Indiana, America's scariest home video.
To be fair, though, if you put Goosebumps or Are You Afraid of the Dark on this list, that's not fair, bro, because those shows are based off a spooky theme. So it's like, why would you put a spooky show on here? Wouldn't we just want to focus on shows that normally don't dive into the spooky realm, but they got spooky episodes? Like, wouldn't that be more fair?
It's going to be different from where I grew up in New Jersey, but this is ridiculous. Nobody believes me, but Erie, Indiana is the center of weirdness for the entire planet.
An intelligent and resourceful teenage boy moves to a new town with his family. A town where haunted and sinister events are nothing out of the ordinary. Only he and his best friend seem to notice just how bizarre life is in Erie. The fictional town of Erie, Indiana was filmed in the backlot of Studio City in California. Between the set designs, the cast of characters, and the plots found in the other 18 episodes produced, the 5th episode of the show's single-season run would air on October 20th, 1991. Here we find Marshall Mars Teller and his best friend Simon's Halloween plans brought to a screeching halt. Mars and Simon had prepared an extensive checklist of equipment for their Halloween adventure, aiming to be ready for anything in the Erie that Halloween night. Against their will, they're tasked with babysitting Simon's little brother, Harley, so the two settle in, spending their upended holiday evening fooling around with their AV equipment. Their night takes a bizarre turn when Harley disappears into the TV, due in no small part to their irresponsible AV experiments.
How'd he get in there anyhow? Does the word mega eerie voodoo weirdness mean anything to you?
Not only being terrifyingly sucked into the television screen, but swapping places with the mummy from a classic movie in the process. The mummy, revealed to be Sir Boris von Orloff, reincarnated actor, adds to the major problems Mars faces solving, preferably before his parents return home. Meanwhile, the mummy's left to run wild throughout the house. With quick thinking, Marshall and Simon manage to use a video feedback time warp to zap Harley and Sir Boris back to their respective realities. The episode wraps up with Marshall reflecting on the unpredictability of technology and the chaos that ensues when meddling with it, with a particular emphasis on the lessons of never leaving videotaped evidence for parents to find. Are You Afraid of the Dark? The Tale of the Midnight
See,
Ride.
this ain't fair. I don't think this fair.
A lesser-known nugget of knowledge, Are You Afraid of the Dark was filmed in Montreal. Canada's YTV had aired a Halloween special a year earlier in 1990, while US viewers of the original Nickelodeon run will remember a pretty steady stream of new and rerun episodes of Are You Afraid of the Dark. The scheduling of when the seasons would air was actually all over the place, sometimes never lending themselves to lining up with the Halloween holiday at all. Seasons premiere at seemingly random times of year. Additionally, some later seasons like 6 and 7 were dropped off to premiere in February and even April. Yet this didn't stop the production team from providing fans with stories specific to Halloween, no matter what portion of the calendar they had to work with. This particular episode picks up as an introduction to the 3rd season, with 2 slots having opened up for new members to join, seeing as a couple were said to have recently moved away. Gary takes the opportunity to introduce a prospective hopeful, who he brings to the campfire shrouded in a burlap sack. It turns out it's his little brother Tucker. And although reluctant at first, the Midnight Society begrudgingly decides to give him a chance. But only after it's revealed that if Tucker can't stay, then Gary can no longer take part. Submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society, Tucker's story begins with a flashback to a battlefield during the American Revolutionary War. Some might have noticed that the line submitted for the approval of was a nod to the Twilight Zone. Fans of Are You Afraid of the Dark will no doubt recall the added thrill the series incorporated to mark the beginning of each member's scary story. They would toss a handful of midnight dust, which was actually Coffee Mate brand powdered creamer. This would briefly heighten the flames and produce an eerie white smoke, keeping many kids entranced and on the edge of their seats for the remainder of the episode, right up until one of the Midnight Society would douse the fire with a pre-filled red pail of water. The tale of the Midnight Ride would feature a character named Ian Matthews, moving to the legendary town of Sleepy Hollow, where he meets a new girlfriend, the local bully, the ghost of Ichabod Crane, and likewise the notorious Headless Horseman, a pumpkin-headed figure thought to have been a soldier whose head was ripped off by a stray cannonball. It's said that he would terrorize the countryside of Sleepy Hollow, New York by night in search of a new head. The legend of Sleepy Hollow may not be the most action-packed or frightening tale you'll find on Are You Afraid of the Dark, but it remains distinctly Halloween and an easy episode for most viewers to remember. The Adventures of Pete and Pete, Halloweeny.
For the true believers, Halloween is the ultimate holiday. For me, it's the ultimate dork holiday. Halloween is for Halloweenies.
Pumpkins galore are used to full effect in this classic holiday-themed adventure of Pete and Pete. The entire episode is packed with pumpkin anywhere they could sneak it in. The spooky set design is very well done and brings a fitting atmospheric gloom to the otherwise sunny streets of suburban Wellsville, often leaving their viewers with more questions than answers. Most episodes in the Nickelodeon series would feature more complex concepts than you'd typically find in a kids show. And when it came to their Halloween installment, Halloweeny, which aired on October 9th, 1994, they didn't disappoint. An overwhelming sense of dread begins building as viewers wait for the pumpkin eaters, Wellsville's personal Halloween haters, to spot Big Pete out trick-or-treating at an age they deem too old to participate.
The Pumpkin Eaters. A pack of goons who turn Halloween into Halloween. No one knows their true identities, but every year they rip through Wellsville like a twister, pulverizing the Halloween spirit of everyone who still believes.
Even more terrifying to Big Pete than that would be being spotted by his arch-enemy and schoolyard bully, Endless Mike Hellstrom. The neighborhood kids know all too well what happened to a dweeby schoolmate of theirs who was cornered by the Pumpkin Eaters the year before.
Last Halloween, this 15-year-old thief named Ned Richmond went trick-or-treating. And the Pumpkin Eaters caught him. He got roasted for everyone to see. Ned's life has never been the same. Now nobody will go near him. Not even in the yearbook.
Damn.
Big Pete's focus throughout the episode being to avoid becoming a social outcast and an inevitable lifetime of embarrassment if he's caught. Little Pete's commitment to the holiday is admirable, as is his ultimate quest for the record of most houses hit in one night.
31 Halloweens ago, Greg and Judy Still trick-or-treated to 374 houses in one night. By midnight, they were legends.
Gods.
Both plots were guaranteed to find some relevance with its viewers, as most kids will easily relate to the slightly greedy nature that surrounds collecting as much free candy as you can lay your hands on, in the span of usually a couple of quickly passing hours. And just about everyone will have experienced the anxiety that comes with deciding whether you might be a little too old to be going door to door or not, and the fear of being picked on for doing so. Are You Afraid of the Dark? The Tale of the Twisted Claw.
Submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society. I call this story The Tale of the Twisted Claw.
Snick was no doubt a major highlight of many kids' Halloween season, tuning in on Saturday nights to discover what new addition to Nickelodeon's late October lineup might become an instant classic. Hits that would be discussed endlessly on school buses and over cafeteria lunch tables. The final show at the end of a 2-hour block, Are You Afraid of the Dark?, was and remains a favorite of many 90s Nick enthusiasts. A sort of horror anthology series for young adults, and countless kids that found a way to stay up later than their unfairly established bedtimes. Initially, the Tale of Twisted Claw aired as a standalone Halloween special before Nickelodeon officially ordered a full season of episodes. Members of the Midnight Society, a group of teen friends who live in the same neighborhood, meet in a mysterious location in the woods. The series would feature each member taking turns while telling their own spooky tales. A friendly competition with each imagining, meant to be more frightening than the last. Premiering on Halloween night back in 1990, to overwhelmingly positive excitement of audiences. After the show was picked up, the Midnight Society was recast, and their scenes were reshot, with the exception of the actor who played Frank in the original pilot. Its chronological air date turned out to be September 5th of '92, as the 4th episode of the show's first season. Curiously, only one of 2 episodes to open in a storytelling, rather than at the show's trademark campfire. What's more, it wound up being the only episode where the story was never finished, and didn't have anything to do with the main story. Eric had been telling a cliffhanger ending style story before David begins narrating the tale of the Twisted Claw for the night's main storyline, later receiving revival and reboot treatments that strayed from the original formula but kept the spirit alive. The original series of 5 seasons that came to a close on April 20th of 1996 will no doubt remain the most nostalgic to those who eagerly tuned in to Snick every Saturday night. Thankfully for fans, Are You Afraid of the Dark wasn't relegated to a once-a-year drop-off during the Halloween season.
There you go. Just one thing. Be careful what you wish for. You might just get it.
Boy Meets World, and then there was Sean.
They do when they act like 2-year-olds.
They do when they act like 2-year-olds.
Mr. Matthews.
This episode premiered on ABC on February 27th, 1998, as the 17th episode of Season 5, well out of range of the Halloween season. The episode, a parody of various slasher films, featuring the cast being stalked by an unknown mass killer, while being trapped at school during detention. It earned an 8.5 Nielsen rating during its initial broadcast. Though technically that season's intended Halloween episode, The Witches of Pembroke, had aired on Halloween night. This was the one that viewers found more entertaining. Though it was never conceived as a holiday special, it was frequently rebroadcast on Halloween, despite the network receiving complaints from various viewers claiming the episode was too scary for its time slot. And Then There Was Sean was originally developed as a parody of the then recent horror films Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer. In fact, Jennifer Love Hewitt, who starred in I Know What You Did Last Summer, was dating a cast member at the time and had a guest role in the episode. It's been referred to as the greatest episode of any series on TGIF, the perfect tribute to horror movies of the 90s, and it's even landed on lists ranking it one of the 15 best Halloween episodes ever, following a fight between the recently broken up Corey and Topanga that was caused by Sean. A group of students in Mr. Feeney's class, Corey, Topanga, Sean, Angela, and Kenny are given detention. Old Man Feeney leaves and the classroom projection screen pulls up, revealing a cryptic and sinister message. "No one gets out alive," written on the chalkboard in blood. The group find themselves locked in the classroom and a creepy janitor appears in the hallway and refuses to let them out. After the lights briefly go out, the character of Kenny is murdered by being stabbed through the head with a pencil, likely a reference to the then recently premiered South Park.
Oh my gosh! They killed Kenny!
Noticeably shot in a different style than the show would typically be, with the use of a handheld camera and point-of-view shots. What stands out most is the lack of a studio audience, which adds an additional layer of discomfort in the already suspenseful storyline. Eventually, Corey, Sean, and Topanga confront the killer, and Sean unmasks him, revealing the killer is a doppelganger of himself. Sean then wakes up in detention, realizing the events were all a dream. The reveal at the end forces Sean to come face-to-face with his worst self and grow from the experience. Perhaps not a Halloween episode by design, but ultimately becoming a Halloween episode by demand. Blossom, All Hallows Eve.
He's at the back door. Did you call the police? Awesome, you're never gonna believe this, but the phone's dead.
For those who aren't all that familiar with the series, it's a charming sitcom about a teenage girl whose family helps her get through life without her mom. Blossom Russo is a highly intelligent and spunky teenager. The youngest of 3, she lives with her divorced musician father, eldest brother and recovering substance abuser Anthony, and decidedly not so bright middle brother Joey. Along for the ride is Blossom's ditzy best friend Six. Interestingly, actress Melissa Joan Hart was originally offered the role of Six, but passed on the role to take the lead on Clarissa Explains It All. Blossom was the first family-oriented sitcom to feature a teenage character dealing with substance abuse recovery. In later seasons, the show increasingly tackled more mature issues, such as the dangers of unhealthy relationships and gun violence. None of that is to be found throughout the 22 minutes that make up All Hallows Eve. It's perfectly silly and even sticks with making a comedy of the suspense they build as the storyline plays out. The 9th episode of Season 3 sees Joey grounded on Halloween and winding up being mistaken for a crazed prowler. These events all take place while a subplot fills the in-betweens. Nick, Anthony, and Buzz have their car abruptly break down outside a very macho bar. dressed in costumes as an all-female rock band. Six and Blossom are hanging out at home by themselves, which starts out as fun, with the thrill of having the place all to themselves. But before long, the experience becomes a terrifying one. They soon get the impression that a killer wearing a mask is trying to break in. It turns out to be Blossom's juvenile big brother Joey all along, a character who fans grew to adore because he's nearly brain dead but always means well. And it's a character actor Joey Lawrence could really sell, almost effortlessly. Possibly the result of years of abusing industrial-sized levels of hair product. Surely some seeped into his skull. Cosmetic companies began displaying cruelty-free labels on their products in the 90s to prove they weren't harming helpless creatures during clinical trials. Rumor has it they started testing them on Joey instead. All Hallows Eve was a solid Halloween special and did air October 26 of '92, while the series was widely popular. So it's a wonder why it doesn't come up on lists of favorite Halloween episodes more often. Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, Halloween.
I'm glad you all find this funny.
Having premiered in the fall of 1993 on CBS, this frontier drama quickly became popular with viewers of all ages. The series enjoyed 6 beloved seasons, ending its very successful run in 1998, when it was canceled suddenly without the benefit of a finale. Outcry from the viewers and an organized campaign to have the show reinstated prompted the creation of 2 additional television movies, which were broadcast in May of '99 and May of 2001. Airing October 13th, 1993, Halloween is trick-or-treat for the residents of Colorado Springs. The kids stage an impromptu seance in the barn that later contributes to the already growing mischief around town. Brian misses the tradition where his biological mom would surprise the boy with a costume that she'd fashioned for him every Halloween night. At the same time, a subplot plays out where Brian suspects and believes that Dorothy is a witch. But unlike some other Dorothys, this one may not be a good witch.
It's her.
What's that she's got?
Looks like a body.
The whole town is spooked by a dead man who disappears once they run to fetch the doctor, only to reappear somewhere else in town later in the episode. A slightly glaring continuity error can be pointed out involving the dead man, unrecognizable to anyone during the costume contest the town is putting on. Somehow he wins first prize for the elaborate disguise he'd mysteriously crafted out of nowhere, and in no time at all. Adding to that, he could only have heard about the festive get-together upon his arrival, so randomly showing up with that complex costume doesn't explain it away. Sully's deceased wife appears as an apparition, comes back to haunt the doctor and discourage her from further developing a romantic relationship together. The haunting spurred on after Sully suggests he begin fixing up the rundown homestead for her. A bonus big hair Joey in today's video. The role of Sully was filled by One Life to Live actor Joe Lando. Raised near Chicago, the former pizza chef and stuntman left home at age 18 and immediately began knocking around the country with a complete disregard for self-preservation, courtesy of countless barroom brawls and motorcycle accidents. He's broken his nose 5 times, all his fingers, his wrist, his cheeks, and jawbones. And that's not to mention the number of stitches it takes to sew all that back together. Miraculously, it didn't harm a single hair on his head. Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, Halloween 2.
Happy Halloween.
The story takes place in 1868, so the decorations and costumes are going to reflect the time period. Perhaps a small drawback when it comes to modern audiences who may find it a bit tame, if not altogether bland to lay eyes on. But even with the strict historical criteria the production team had to work under, they managed to do a respectable job. Halloween was the first full episode to focus on a holiday. It went over so well with audiences that they soon continued the tradition with the next holiday episode a month later, Giving Thanks. So fans will have been eagerly awaiting another Halloween special when Season 3 rolled around. Though titled Halloween 2, Episode 6 of Season 3 isn't a continuation of the previous year's festivities, but a standalone episode delving into a more dramatic storyline. Airing October 29, 1994, and taking a step in a more suspenseful and emotional direction, the episode deals with the townsfolk who are up in arms when they get wind that Dr. Mike is doing secret operations and possibly recreating Frankenstein's monster. Misconceptions and a lack of understanding the basic principles of science and medicine lead to more and more rumors and accusations. Unbeknownst to the rest of the community, the doctor is actually helping a man that Brian finds in the woods by giving him reconstructive surgery on his mangled face and aiding him in dealing with the outer and inner scars alike, as well as to help him come to terms with his overwhelming guilt about the train wreck that caused his disfigurement. As conductor of the train, he feels entirely responsible for the accidental crash. As you can imagine, it's all done in a wholesome way. It's really nothing frightening or sharply suspenseful to expect, but some people might prefer that slower pace and quaint Western vibe the show puts on. Although the series did see its share of action and romance, it's always retained its family-friendly nature, holiday specials included, of course. Halloween and Halloween 2 may not be the first relevant episodes that come to mind when picking a list of spine-chilling favorites.
Now, why you put them on there?
Ratings Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman would pull in during its first few seasons on air, it's a guarantee that many people caught those holiday episodes, but many have long since forgotten they existed. Family Matters, Dog Day Halloween.
Everything okay, Lois? For the last time, I'm not Lois Lane, I'm Tina Turner.
The first Halloween-themed episode of this classic ABC sitcom premiered as the 7th episode of the 2nd season. A textbook example of how it can be done successfully, Family Matters was originally conceived as a spin-off of Perfect Strangers. From there, it won the hearts of viewers everywhere and built its own universe of adored and inspiring characters. Airing October 26th of 1990, Dog Day Halloween was released to the joy of avid Urkel fans around the country. The title of the episode is in reference to the film Dog Day Afternoon, a 1970s biographical crime drama starring Al Pacino. In that movie, Pacino robs a bank so that he can afford a sex change operation for his lover, and so they can presumably run away together, leaving his wife and kids behind. Because family matters. Just not that family. Steve learns a painful lesson when he tries to make good on his fantasy of saving Laura, while both of them are held hostage after stopping by the bank to cash their checks.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Sit back down next to Chaka Khan.
A highly memorable episode, this is the first time that viewers saw Jaleel White perform martial arts on set. The next time would be when the character Bruce Lee Urkel was introduced during a comedic pool hall fight. Here, you'll find him sporting his Superman costume and giving audiences the full Urkel, while not missing a step during his legendary Dance of Joy. Family Matters, whose kid is it anyway?
Oh. The next pumpkin was carved by me and my mom. Oh. And the last pumpkin was carved by me and Eddie.
The second Halloween special in the Family Matters series premiered October 13th, 1992, and it would be much more grounded in reality than its predecessor, opting to go for a more dramatic storyline that was sure to resonate with their average viewers. Episode 6 of Season 4 focuses on a trick-or-treating excursion gone awry. Eddie Winslow learns one lesson: don't leave your cousin in the care of Waldo Faldo.
Oh yeah. This episode when they left Richie with Waldo, and he brought back a goddamn Asian kid. Like, what the fuck? Yo, why would you do that? That was so irresponsible of Eddie.
Even if you desperately want to attend a once-a-year Halloween party, this seasonal episode has all the pumpkin carving and costumes you could want in a Halloween episode. Eddie is told to take Richie trick-or-treating, but it interferes with a hot date he's lined up. Through a series of predictable mishaps, Richie gets lost after Waldo is asked to take him instead.
Wait a minute. I do remember a woman with a small kid dressed like Spider-Man. There was something different about her.
Might she have been Chinese? Yes.
When Eddie finds out that his dim-witted friend returned with the wrong kid, he goes on a frantic search to find little Richie, before everyone else finds out, but not before laying all the blame for the incident upon his best buddy. It takes a stoic Steve Urkel to point out that the responsibility lies with nobody other than Eddie himself. Fortunately, the ordeal is nearly wrapped up without further incident, once they locate Richie and swap around the misplaced kids. After learning about Eddie's behavior and breaking his promise, Carl and Harriet set him straight and force him to apologize. Richie stubbornly refuses to accept it at first, but Eddie admits he deserves the shower treatment for letting him down, explaining that when he learned Richie was missing, he was scared that something terrible could have happened to him. Aside from letting down the whole family, it would be a mistake that he would have to live with for the rest of his life. The two mend their relationship, and Eddie takes Richie out for more trick-or-treating. The heartwarming holiday special ends on a happy note with the Winslow family reuniting, enjoying Halloween and having a good laugh about their crazy night. As always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe for more videos just like this.
Alrighty, this dude has some terrible I'm sorry, but you had some terrible entries here. You had shows that weren't even like really Halloween episodes. Like, they were just like, okay, like, come on, dog. Some of these ain't even hitting, bro. Like, give me some spooky stuff. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And then you put "Are You Afraid of the Dark" in here. That's a cheat code. You can't use that. That's not fair. Because that was the case, you could have put Goosebumps in here if that was the case. But I digress. But anyways, though, that's just gonna about do it for this one, man. Let me know what y'all think down in the comments section below. These are very forgettable. He said unforgettable. Nigga, these are forgettable. Like, nigga, who the fuck was watching these shows? These shows ain't even heard of, bruh. The fuck? Some of these shows ain't even heard of like that. Like, I get it. Boy Meets World. Okay, you got me there. Okay. Are You Afraid of Dark? Most definitely. We just went on this trail with these unheard of, not cult classic shows just to get to goddamn Family Matters at the very fucking end. All right, bro. Anyway, so I'm just gonna about do it for this. I'll see y'all next one. Till then, peace out.